Welcome to another episode of Stand Up Memories.
We do everything we can to try and look young and be refreshed and happy. And the first thing you do is to sit and talk about how you can't recover from driving home from a gig. And then our guest chimes in that he can't, and we're just still shot. And so we're leading into this podcast as three old codgers that can't even get out of bed. And we can't have that.
Well,
we got to be perky.
Well, that was right before we went on. But when we went on, I had energy, and I said what I usually say: "Welcome to Stand Up Memories."
I know, and it's so boring. I always think I should interrupt.
Well, you do.
Oh.
I'm Peter Bales. This is Jackie the Joke Man, Martling.
And we have a guest,
And we have a terrific guest. We have a terrific comedian by the name of Mick Thomas, who comes. There he is, right there, and he comes to Long Island and New York, the New York area, via Ireland, where he is originally from, and he's got a wonderful accent, and he talks a lot about that. But now he is taking America by storm, although we're tired when we get back from our gigs. If it's a long drive.
It's a long ride from Ireland.
Yes.
Where in Ireland?
I'm from Wexford, a town nobody's ever heard of.
But where is that? Here?
Yeah, right there in the bottom right. We're like the Florida of America without the palm trees. That's, yeah. The only association we have when I tell people, like it's a humble brag, is the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan. That's supposed to be Normandy. I live over that hill where that was shot.
Oh, that's very cool.
Where they were shot.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
Yeah.
Now, what
little Veterans Day humor there.
Yeah.
Now tell me, when did you come to this country first?
Almost 20 years ago.
All right.
Almost 20 years ago.
We've talked about this before.
So what do you have to do? Weekly go for like accent lessons to keep it up?
Yeah, or else you know what's funny, when people talk about my accent, my accent is my own made up accent, right? Because in Wexford, how they talk, it's really fast. So I have this made up, slowed down version of how we speak. So when I go home, people are like, what's that noise? So over here, it's
because over here we wouldn't understand.
You wouldn't understand. If I was to go up on stage and talk exactly how my family and friends talk and people in my town, you wouldn't get it. You wouldn't get a lick of what I'm saying.
First impressions of America when you came here 20 years ago. Good?
I liked
bad,
it.
Mixed?
I liked it a lot, actually. Yeah, I was a big fan of America when I got here.
Were you a comic in Ireland? And
No,
then
I started here in America. I started on Long Island at Governor's. It was my first time I walked on stage. But I wanted to be a comedian since I was 5 years old, but I just never had the location or the place to do it.
Were the places to pursue it, and you just?
There was maybe one club in Dublin, but that was 2 hours away, and it's I never heard of an open mic night. You didn't know what an open mic night was, and I don't think there even was open mic nights, if I'm being honest with you. I mean, that's changed now across the globe, but I didn't know how to go about starting stand-up, so I just kind of let it go.
But this guy has boxing in his DNA.
Kickboxing and boxing. Yeah.
Boxing and kickboxing.
Yeah.
Kickboxing.
Right.
Now, when did you start doing boxing?
Well, I did boxing when I moved here because there was no kickboxing because MMA was just taking off.
Okay.
So there was no, hey, let's go to do one kickboxing class. So I said, you know what, I'll go to the Golden Gloves. And I just slid into the Golden Gloves. And I did that and I got beat.
That is something I can't comprehend. Boxing I can't comprehend. But kickboxing, I mean, why not just walk in front of a fire truck? It's crazy.
Sometimes it's like that, man. But you know what? It made stand-up very easy because I remember getting knocked out in front of 4,000 people. Right? That's embarrassing. If someone doesn't laugh at your joke, who gives a crap? What's the worst can happen to you?
It puts things in perspective.
Yeah, of course it does.
Yeah. So,
but although that's weird because I've read multiple places where like 5-star generals have said they can walk into battle and not even flinch.
Right.
And if they have to deliver a speech to 100 people, they're out of their mind. So it's all where your head is at.
Yeah, I don't know where that comes from. I read something about it, and Peter, you're a history buff too, so maybe you heard the same thing too. But it goes back to our ancestors of speaking in the tribe, and if you were wrong about what you were saying, you were kicked out of the tribe. right?
Yes, or killed. So
Probably that too. So I think that fear might be encoded in our DNA based on, you know what, if I, hey, the fig tree is over that way, and then it turns out it was that way, they're like, you know what, let's get rid of Bales out of the
better
group.
not say.
So there's going to be a payoff one way or
Somewhere along the line.
Interesting. That's an interesting reason for people being afraid of public speaking.
Yeah, that's what I read. That's what I read.
I never.
Whereas with you, it's just your act.
It's just my act. I'm insecure about
That's
my
what we
act.
do. We're just rude. Well, he's rude.
I'm rude. So, Mick Thomas.
Where did you move to on Long Island?
When I moved here first, I moved to Wantagh, and then I bought a house out in Suffolk, out east.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And you have a family.
I do. I have a missus and two American kids.
Two American kids.
Two American kids.
What do they know about Ireland? Everything you've
They
told
were. I brought them.
The missus you brought with you?
No, she's from here. She's a Long Islander. Yeah, and my kids were born here. But I brought them back to Ireland when they were babies, each time to get baptized. I had them baptized over there. And I've brought them back, I think, twice since then. But we're looking at another trip again.
You had them baptized in Ireland?
In Ireland, yeah.
Because baptism doesn't count in the United States.
It doesn't. The water's not. You know the people. You know the New Yorkers are always talking about the water for pizza and bagels.
Yes, yes.
It's the holy water. Is not. That's us with holy water.
That is so crazy, funny, special. I can't even think of a category for that.
Yeah. It's.
The water isn't right anywhere else for pizza or bagels.
You know, that's
but
what it's
that
like.
would not be right.
It's not right.
When you walk out of a church, you don't even bother with because
it's Long Island water.
It's garbage.
No, right from God's sewers.
It's garbage. Now can you have people? I don't know how religious. Can people ship you like a jar full of?
Oh yeah, you can. You can buy.
So it's not where it is.
You can go to Lourdes, which is very big in Europe. Lourdes is in France, and apparently this is a place where the Virgin Mary appeared, and apparently it's got healing qualities to the water. So people will send you over buckets and jars of, and it's in like a flask shaped like Mary, and like you unscrew the top of Mary's head, and you get, here you go, there's a bit of holy water for you.
Well,
if people are buying Poland Spring, they might as well buy the water.
You might as
from
well.
Lourdes.
Imagine how good the pizza would be. So some water from Lourdes.
That's way too funny an idea. That's way too creative. Oh, pizza made with
holy water.
Holy
water.
water.
The bagels.
So, Mick Thomas, transplanted from Ireland to Long Island, starts out in comedy. Mm-hmm. It had to be tough. It couldn't have been easy at first.
It wasn't, and I'll tell you why. And that's no disrespect
had you toned down your accent before you gave it a shot?
I
mean,
had
were you
to
here
because
a while?
yeah, I was here about 2 years, 4 years. Because I started comedy, and I'll tell you why I started comedy when my daughter was born, and I'll tell you why. But going back to Peter's question is, I didn't find it hard because I had an act right out the gate. So that's no disrespect to comics who start and find it tough, because I had this. I was from another land, and it was very easy for me to get laughs because all I had to do was just crap on what you do. And I kept that act for about 2 years, and of course I built on it, and I kept the same premise, and you say that, we say that, I'm confused about the thing that you do.
You had a built-in premise.
So 2 to 3 years, I never experienced a bomb. I never experienced a bad bomb, which is not good, because I think you should experience those right away. So when I decided to move away from that, like now I got kids, and let me talk about what that, and then I started the bomb because I moved away from the safety net of being this foreigner. And then it was like, ooh, then I got shocked. Then I got rocked. Because 3 years
Which is kind of backwards.
It really is, because when I look at guys, when I see guys who go up on their first time on an open mic and they bomb, and I always give them credit, because I probably wouldn't have come back. For my first time on stage, I bombed. I probably wouldn't have walked back onto that stage and go, you know what, I tried it, it's not for me. But I was very lucky to kind of I had something to say.
Your act was a fish out of water. You know.
Yeah, and a lot of comics just when they start, like, who are they? They don't know what to talk about. They don't know what they just want to. They're struggling to find what is funny. What should I talk about? You know, and it's so for me, I was just lucky enough to have that.
Well, you had the built-in hook, and then when you started to expand on that, that's when you experienced bombing.
Yeah.
And Jackie's right. It's kind of the opposite of what
right. It really
comedy is so weird because to this day, before a show, like I'm always a mess.
Yeah.
No matter what Chris Rock said, I've said it a million times on the show. Chris Rock said comics don't get paid for doing their acts. They get paid for the 20 minutes before the show. Okay? You know what I mean? Because everybody's a wreck. And every time you look back 2 years or 5 years or 10 years and like, how did I have the nerve to go on? How'd you have the nerve to go on stage 40 years ago? You just don't know any better.
Right.
Or you don't, it's a very odd thing, you know. I bombed so badly at Catch a Rising Star, but I had played guitar and told jokes for so long. I was so used to people being loud, and I just didn't know any better. That's just what I did. And it was so strange to go on stage at Catch a Rising Star, because when we were in the band, we spent most of our time, hey, we're over here, pay attention, we're going to tell jokes. And all of a sudden you walk on stage and you got everybody's full attention. And like, I didn't know even how to deal with it. It was like, you know, whoa, and I didn't deal with it. It was horrible.
And you can't drown out the silence with a guitar or a drum. It's just you and your words. That
Well, you know, I actually went up with a sponsor, I think the second time, and it was a very dirty sponsor, and I got huge laughs. And I thought, wow, this is a piece of cake. And I turned around, and I don't think I got another laugh the whole time. Like, you know how crazy it is.
I got to tell you, I bombed every night for a year. Unfortunately, that year was 2022.
Yeah, you opened for me. I was watching it happen. You know, I used to, sit backstage and eat and drink and do whatever because I could follow this.
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't know if you know about guitar, but one time I went on Catch a Rising Star, and you know what it was? It was that time with the sponsor, and I killed with the sponsor and turned around and put it down, and I was going to play a song, and the first swipe of my guitar, I broke the A string.
Okay.
A guitar has 6 strings.
Sure.
From the thickest to the thinnest. And you can break the top string or even the second string, but breaking from the top, the A string, it's like one of the wheels on your bicycle coming off.
Yeah.
And not knowing any better, I finished the song, and I will never. The audience was like, "Get this!" Oh God! But you can't help but think about that. But that's it. It's so crazy thinking about the.
That was a long
beginning.
time ago.
Oh, it was
Well,
2 days ago. No, but that's
So, Mick, here we are, and you've been in comedy now how many years?
16 years. 16.
You accomplished a lot in that short time. I mean,
Thank you.
You really have.
Yeah.
I mean, you really have. How do you feel about the changes we're seeing in comedy in this century? Ethnic jokes are not cool, certainly. You can joke about your own ethnicity. You can talk about Ireland, but
How uncomfortable is it that you can describe? How about the way things are this century, as opposed to the last century? We are some old farts.
We really are.
I don't mean to interrupt, but yeah, things are changing violently.
Well, I remember during the Spanish-American War, we could say anything, and now we really can't.
How much do you alter?
I don't alter at all. Whatever I say, I never ever want to make anyone uncomfortable. I never want to have anybody leaving insulted. I never want anybody feeling like they had a bad time. My jokes don't come from a place of shock value whatsoever. And I've said stuff that some people, I find when I go to a club, that they don't listen to what I've said. They've heard words and they don't get the context of what I'm saying. And then they'll bail. But that's their problem. And I'm not.
Absolutely.
I'm not.
Absolutely.
I can't bend for them, because when the pendulum comes back, or when people do kind of eventually like lighten up, or when I find that audience that really doesn't, they're just there for a good time, I don't care. However, I've done shows, I work with this guy, Andy Cooney, and I go with him on the road every once in a while, and all his audience are seniors, and they're amazing people, and I've learned, I used to look down my nose like, oh God, I'm just going for a paycheck, these seniors, and and now I realize, like, who am I to think that their laughter is not as good as the hip laughter.
Well said.
And it's
And I
Yes.
once I said that, once I let that go, I was like, oh, it's just a paycheck to me. Then I go, these are real people, and I'm like, they're laughing, they're giving me what I'm giving them, and I go, and if I go to a young hip audience that won't give me that, I go, well, who are you? And I really had to kick my own.
It flips.
I really had to kick my own ass, and I was really embarrassed how I behaved, and some of the conversations I had with comics to say that I'm just doing it for the zeros and whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just going to entertain these people at 2 PM. And I was embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to say that, but you kind of have to own your mistakes.
Yes, seniors can be some of the best audiences.
Yeah.
I did an assisted living facility, and they were all really, really old, and
Sure,
the show was
sure.
terrific. But when I was leaving to go out to the parking lot, these two guys in white coats, they grabbed me. They said, I had to go back to my room.
Come on, Peter, your mashed potatoes waiting for you. No, but it was, I remember fantasizing about being a kid, about being a comedian, because I wanted to be a comedian from such a small age, like a tiny kid. And in my head, I would always fantasize all these people laughing at me. But like, I never envisioned who was laughing at me.
Right.
I just envisioned the laughter.
Right. Were
and
they
now I'm
college
getting it.
kids? Were they?
Right, but now I'm getting the laughter and I'm looking down my nose at it, and I was like, shame on me, shame on me. And so to alter my act, when I go into to deal with seniors, I just know what makes them laugh. And it's not like, oh, they're not going to get this hip, edgy bit I'm about to do. So I just don't do it. I know the stuff that works with them, and they're jokes that I enjoy telling. So why not tell them, and let's all have a great time about it.
Well, I enjoy working the seniors because that's my audience at this point. I'm so damn old. I'm like, look how old these people are now. Hold on, I'm 15 years older.
So how do you feel about Irish jokes when you hear them from other comedians who might not be Irish? That would be, to me, that would be 1985, that kind of a thing.
I don't care, Peter. I really like it's
the whole thing about drinking and everything. Like,
it doesn't.
It's just so built in.
It doesn't bother me, and if they laugh at it, let them laugh at it. I don't get offended by anything. I sit there and go, what kind of annoys me a little bit more is, and this is my own personal thing that I have to work through. It's nothing to do with anybody else. It's not a dig at anybody. But I know so many comics who are from other countries.
Yes.
And they've lived here for 20 years, and they're still doing like, I'm so confused that you guys, have you not got over that yet? Are you still confused about the traffic is on the other side of it? Like, still 20 years, you haven't figured that out yet?
Right.
Can you not, like, expand your cranium and just write about something? Again, that's your art. That's what you decide to put out there. That's your business. But that would annoy me more than the actual fact that, Irish people like to drink. Because I don't drink. I never drink.
Wait a second.
What are you trying to do? Wreck the stereotype?
I really am.
Really?
I don't drink. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not in recovery. I just chose not to drink from an early.
Excuse me. You don't drink. You're not in recovery. But you cross the Atlantic Ocean for the baptisms. Come on.
Yeah.
You're.
And I like to fight at the drop of a hat. I got some of them.
You got a little of it going.
I got some of them.
That's fun.
So
good.
I remember telling Mick, that my ethnic background, if you go centuries back, is English. And I remember I told him that, and it was really uncalled for you to push me across the room. There was no reason for that. I was just making conversation. But
Jesus.
So the clubs. What do you think about the clubs now? I've worked with you quite a number of times at the clubs. It looks to me like you're having fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having I love club settings. I love theaters, but the clubs are where I form my act. It's where they're born. And in the theaters, I guess you get to reap what you sow and that kind of stuff. But I like the gritty work. I like a joke bombing, believe it or not, because it shows. Because I like the art form of finding the right order of the words to make. Like I have a joke now that took me. I was getting booed, like literally booed from people who were upset about it. And right now, it's my favorite joke to do. It's the audience's favorite joke to hear. And
Let's hear it. Let's hear it right now.
I open up with it, and I can't perform it. You know what I mean? But the premise, I'll tell you, the premise of it is like I get Hims commercials, like Hims is an erectile dysfunction pill, like for the new hip kids, whatever.
Well, I would never know it.
Yeah. But my point was like the premise of the joke is that there's only females advertising it. It's never a man.
Right.
And like, there's no guy like you advertising women's products, but going, ladies, if you have a heavy flow, Like, you know what I mean? But then I go to like, if you're going to put a woman in her commercial, they're always a hot 10, like a hot in lingerie lying on the bed. I go, if you're going to put a female in her commercial, at least put a woman I'm going to actually need an erectile dysfunction pill for.
Who's going to have a problem with her?
Like a West Virginia Mountain 2. Like, just, I'm going to need one for that. You know what I mean? With
that's
a tooth.
hysterical.
But again, that's just the premise of it. And it's but like it took me to, and understandably you could see how people are like, I don't like that. That's not nice towards women. And that's gross. But now they're on board.
Yeah, once you work.
You have to work it up. You can only do that in a club.
You got to
New comedians watching. Did you hear it? You start with a joke. It can get a boo.
Yeah.
And you mess with it. You change it. You change your attitude. You change the words. You're hearing it. You can fix it.
You see, Peter is a professor. He has his own comedy school, because I know that's what he's doing right now. He's working his way into a club.
Stand-up university.
He's making a tape now so he doesn't have to turn up for class one day.
That's right.
Guys, just press play and I'll see you Monday.
Standupuniversity.com if you want to start out in stand-up comedy.
I saw it.
Well,
but he's absolutely right, and that's that's great. And like you say, when you get to the theaters, you're just doing what you do, because you put the whole thing together. But there's nothing like a club show. No matter taking money out of the equation, a good 300, 500 seat room with people packed in.
It's the best.
I know,
but I like the people, so they're right at your knees. You know what I mean?
The best.
Like, so you're working right.
Low ceiling.
Yes.
The spotlight hits you. You can't see past the second row. And you're just going. You're going on your instincts.
But if a joke is working well in a club setting, in a theater setting, wow. It's going to be. Of course.
Like a 20-minute set or a 30-minute set at a comedy club is about a 15-minute set at a theater.
Yep.
Because the laughter is just rolling. It's coming from the back. And I just did a 1,500-seater this weekend. And I was supposed to do half an hour. And I did maybe 17 minutes of material. Because of the laughter just kept coming and coming. We were all having a blast, and you can't beat it.
So
you can't beat it.
What's that feel like? No,
we'll get there one day.
I will. One day, I want to do 17 minutes. I want to get 17 minutes worth of material and stretch it into 30.
I like the clubs, I mean the theaters, the small theaters that used to be vaudeville houses, then they became movie theaters, and now they're theaters. And I like the fact that you can't see, because nowadays I don't have anybody in the balcony, so I'm not looking up there and going, oh crap, like I got the first 3 rows is packed. For all I know, the place is full,
Well, you have to admit, Mick, I've seen you at the clubs.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're on stage, and I wouldn't say you're angry, but you're into it, and you're getting intense. And that's part of what you do sometimes. Because
I believe in what I'm saying, and the jokes I don't do anymore, I just don't, like I can't fake anger. Right? I can't, it's not authentic for the joke. I can't fake frustration because I'm over that now.
Yeah.
So the jokes I write them in the moment of how I'm feeling. Like if I'm arguing with my kids and you know what, I'm writing this down, I go to the club and I bang my kids and the kids are dying laughing. But a year later, and I try to do the same joke, I'm not angry at my kid anymore. Yeah. I'm not, and so now...
So you can't pull that off.
I can't pull it off because I don't know, maybe I'm not as a good performer as most comics are, but I just like the authenticity of it. And if I don't, like I have a comedian friend, I don't know if you ever been around, like Terry McNeely.
Yes.
Like Terry McNeely started the same day as me, and I love Terry McNeely, but the guy gets red-faced on stage, and I say to him, you've been doing that joke for 10 years, you still can't be angry about that. I've girls who cheat on me back in Ireland, and I'm like, I'm okay, I'm over it.
Laurence Olivier said, act, my dear boy. Right. Act, my dear boy.
And that's maybe what I'm lacking probably, because when I stop believing in the bit, like I don't have that passion and that feeling for that bit anymore. I just go, all right, you're done.
But that's, there's a lot to be said for that. That's honesty.
I love it.
Now you say he gets what, you don't ever like actually kickbox anybody in the front row or anything.
No, but there's been hairy incidents. There's been
seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give us one. Give us a hairy incident.
I'll give you 2. I'll give you one. Right. One was I'm lucky. We're lucky that we're comedians because we can de-escalate any situation from even a giant. So the one that I actually have it on, I don't believe in posting crowd work online, which a lot of comics do. I only post material. If you want to see who I am, you want to see my joke, follow me on social media, it's all there. But this one day I'm doing this bit about Italian food, right? And I talk about, because I lived in Italy, and I talk about how Long Island, like you tell, I described having a pizza out of a 150-year-old brick oven under the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and I go, but you tell any Long Island Italian that, they go, yeah, but you got to go to Sal's and Pat Shop, right? Because of how arrogant.
To be next door to my house.
Right. Because of how arrogant they are about the cook. My wife's an Italian, so they're arrogant about the cooking. And I lived in Italy, and it's not. So that was the premise. I'm not doing the joke, by the way. I'm not doing it justice either. And I go. The most enjoyable Italian food I've had in this country is the Olive Garden. Now I was about to. They don't give me a chance to turn it around, and I end up, backhandedly kind of shitting on the Olive Garden. But they don't. This audience didn't give me a chance, because the boos come, and they always come when I say that line. But I have a line that gets them back. But this one guy was like, F you. You want to go outside, you potato-eating piece of shit. And I'm just like, I'm looking at the security guard and go like, now? Like, do you want to take him out now? Because I have no problem, because I said to him, I go, buddy, go get 5 of your friends, meet me after the show, you might have a chance. But the other time I was joking online. Now, I ride motorcycles, right? I love riding motorcycles. I follow groups like the Hells Angels. But I'm on TikTok, and I have 2 TikTok accounts. I have one as Mick Thomas Comedy. The other one, I had to create a troll account because of what happened. Now, a troll account is I don't go after people. I don't insult people. But I figured if I make a joke that's going to offend. So I'm following the Hells Angels, and they're riding out in this post, right? There's like 40 of them riding out. And at the back, there's this massive guy, like at least 400 pounds. And he's got the patch and all that stuff on it. And all I said was, and again, I'm just being a dick. I don't mean any of this stuff. And all I said was, again, I ride a motorcycle, so I'm kind of being like, what's the word I'm looking satire. It's satire. Yeah. So I said, motorcycle clubs are like bridal parties. There's always one fat one, right? Now I'm just being a dick, right?
That's so funny.
I'm just being a dick.
So I'm upstairs. I'm at Zany's in Chicago last March, and I'm upstairs. And the green room is you kind of the stage is there, and the green room is upstage. You have to walk through the crowd to get to the stage. It's not like you come down backward. You're on, and sold out Zany's.
Oh.
It was, of course, it was St. Patrick's weekend. Sold out Zany's, and they come up to me and go, "There's people downstairs to see you." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. Like." My name's on the board. Of course they came to see me. He goes, no, these guys want to speak to you. Oh. And I go down, and there's 6 Hells Angels guys. And they came, and in the comments, they were like, "Yo, I'm going to kick your ass." I go, "Oh no, please don't turn up at Zany's in Chicago on March 15th.
Right.
Whatever
I'm going to work in a plug.
And they showed up.
Oh, what happened?
And well, first of all, they go, "Well, what do you got to say for yourself?" I go, "Guys, I was just kidding. I didn't mean to offend you with those 2 jokes." And the guy goes, "What do you mean 2 jokes?" I go, "Oh, you didn't see the other one where I said, what's the hardest thing about being in a motorcycle club? Coming out to your dad?" And the big one just started to laugh. And I go, "You know what? Can I just get you a round of drinks, guys, and we'll call it quits?" And they go, yeah, let's do that then.
All right.
But
that's brilliant.
But I don't care.
I love it.
I don't care about that kind of stuff too.
All
you can't
right.
just throw your weight around.
We have got to pull the plug.
Oh no!
No, wait. We definitely want to have Mick Thomas back.
I would love to come back.
But before, I'm sorry, that's
my knee replaced.
Surgically replaced knee. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
Mick Thomas has a podcast. Let's mention it. Give it a plug. What's the name?
Yeah, every week it's cheaper than therapy. It's just me ranting. It's like my own open mic.
That's the name of it?
Yeah, cheaper than therapy. It's just me. I pick topics that I want to talk about before I get to the club, and I'll just talk about them, and I'll go. I'll just nonstop talk about it for 20 minutes, and it's done.
Cheaper than therapy, and
yes.
they find this on all the platforms?
Yeah, everywhere, on all the platforms. Mick Thomas Comedy on every
And is it
social
just
media.
you, or do you have a
just
partner
me. Just
like
me.
I do? That I
have another podcast with my good buddy Corey Brooks called
okay.
The Manxiety Show. We do that once a month, and that's finally get a chance to kind of just
So you know what
off.
it's like to have to carry
a
partner.
I know. yeah. Corey's great, but it's great to bounce someone off, jokes off of.
That was
I'm laughing. Can't you tell I'm laughing?
On the inside.
Ladies and gentlemen,
we definitely want you back.
Thanks, lads. I had a great time.
You have been
Appreciate
terrific.
It.
You
Thank
are
this guy.
Thanks so much.
Mick Thomas, if you ever see him at a comedy club advertised, go. He's terrific.
I'll see you. Thanks, lads.
All right, Jockey Martling, Peter Bales, and the one and only Mick Thomas. Thank you.
Cheers.
See you next
Thank you.
time on Stand Up Memories.
that was a pretty good episode.
A new episode every Wednesday with me, Peter Bales, Jackie the Joke Man Martling, comedians, interesting people. Leave a comment. We'll get what am I saying?
I don't know.
We're gonna get back to you. We will respond to your comment.
Standupmemories.com, if you go there, it shows all the different
All
platforms.
Spotify, we're on everything.
Every Wednesday.
Stand Up Memories,
Every Wednesday.
a new episode.